Young doctor performs hemorrhoid surgery on a comatose female millionaire. Shockingly, she wakes up. I need to ask for a small favor before we begin today's story. Please hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss any of our new videos. It's quick, free, and the best way to support us in bringing you more dramatic stories. Your support means the world to us. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Now, let's get back to our main character. Anna gently placed her hand over Veronica's, feeling the warmth of the touch, a reassuring sign that her recovery was beginning. Veronica blinked, trying to process her surroundings, her eyes scanning the sterile hospital room, the beeping of machines, and the constant hum of the air conditioning. The confusion in her eyes slowly turned into a flicker of understanding, but she was still not fully aware of what had happened. She looked up at Anna, who had been standing at her bedside, watching with concern. "What happened to me?" Veronica asked, her voice still soft and hoarse. Anna smiled softly, trying to reassure her as best she could. "You were in a car accident, Veronica. You've been unconscious for a while, but you're awake now. You're safe." Veronica's eyes widened in disbelief as she tried to remember. "A car accident? I don't remember anything." Anna nodded gently, squeezing her hand. "It's okay. You don't have to remember everything right now. What matters is you're here, and you're going to be fine." Veronica's gaze shifted to the machines that had been keeping her alive, the foredrip still hooked up to her arm, the monitor beeping softly. She didn't say anything for a moment, her mind racing to comprehend what had just happened. She was alive, yes, but how? What had happened to her life? The last thing she could recall was her hectic life before the accident. The meetings, the deals, the constant push to stay ahead in the cutthroat business world. Now, it all felt so distant. She let out a long breath, still struggling with the confusion. "But how did I wake up? I don't understand," she whispered, her voice trembling. Anna paused, considering how to respond. The truth was, no one expected her to wake up so soon. The doctors had prepared everyone for the worst, but here Veronica was, opening her eyes and speaking. Anna tried to mask the surprise she still felt. Sometimes, the body just needs a little time, a little help. And with the right care, it can find its way back. Veronica's gaze softened, looking at Anna as if seeing her for the first time. "You've been here with me this whole time, haven't you?" Anna nodded. "I have. I've been taking care of you, making sure you're comfortable, keeping you safe." Veronica's eyes glistened as tears welled up. "I don't know what to say. I was so lost before all of this. But now, I don't even know where to start. I don't even know who I am anymore." Anna's heart ached at the vulnerability in Veronica's voice. She knew this feeling all too well, the feeling of losing everything and not knowing how to rebuild. "You don't have to have all the answers right away," Anna said gently. "You're not alone in this. You have people who care about you, and we'll take it one step at a time." Veronica's breath hitched as she tried to hold back the tears that had been threatening to spill. She wiped her face with the back of her hand, trying to regain her composure. "I was so focused on my business, my career. I didn't even realize how much I had been losing in the process. My family. I don't even know where they are." Anna placed a comforting hand on her shoulder. "It's okay to not have everything figured out. Right now, your health is the most important thing. We'll deal with everything else when the time is right." Veronica nodded, though doubt lingered in her eyes. "I don't know how to go on from here. I feel like I've lost so much, and I don't even know where to begin." Anna smiled warmly, her eyes soft with empathy. "You begin by taking care of yourself. The rest will come." As the hours passed, Veronica slowly adjusted to her new reality, the shock of her awakening still fresh in her mind. But despite the overwhelming emotions, there was a sense of comfort in Anna's steady presence, in the quiet understanding that the nurse had shown from the moment she arrived. The rest of the day was spent in a haze of doctors and nurses checking on Veronica, making sure her recovery was progressing as expected. But for Anna, the most important thing was simply being there, letting Veronica know she wasn't alone, that she had someone by her side. The next morning, when Anna returned to Veronica's room, she found the patient sitting up in bed, a hesitant smile on her face. "I think I'm starting to understand," Veronica said, her voice stronger than it had been the day before. "But it feels like a lifetime ago, you know? Everything I had, everything I thought was so important, it's all meaningless now." Anna nodded slowly, her heart heavy with the weight of the truth Veronica was realizing. Sometimes, it takes something like this to make us see what really matters. You've been given a second chance, Veronica. You can choose how to move forward from here. Veronica's eyes met Anna's, her gaze unwavering. I don't know what the future holds, but I know I want to try. I want to live again, to find meaning again. Anna smiled, a sense of hope stirring within her. And you will. One step at a time. Veronica took a deep breath, feeling a renewed sense of strength within herself. She wasn't sure what her future looked like, but for the first time in a long while, she felt ready to face it. And with Anna by her side, she knew she wouldn't have to do it alone. Veronica's recovery was slow, but with each passing day, she seemed to regain a little more of herself. She started speaking more clearly, asking about her life, her work, and the people she had left behind. Anna, ever the patient caretaker, answered her questions as gently as possible, but she could see the pain in Veronica's eyes, the struggle to remember, to make sense of everything that had been lost. One afternoon, Veronica sat up in her bed, her fingers absently tracing the edge of the hospital blanket. I keep thinking about my company, she said, her voice soft, tinged with worry. I built it from the ground up, and now I don't even know if it still exists. I don't know if my family has taken over, or if I'm even still needed. Anna could hear the tension in her voice, and could feel the weight of those words. She knew that Veronica's mind was still grappling with the loss of her past life. But she also saw something else. The strength that had helped her build her empire was still there, even if it was buried under layers of doubt and confusion. You've been through a lot, Veronica, Anna said, her voice calm but firm. You don't need to have all the answers right now. Focus on your recovery first. Everything else will fall into place when you're ready. Veronica looked at Anna, her eyes searching for something, perhaps for reassurance. She nodded, but it was clear that her mind was still a whirlpool of thoughts. She knew that Anna was right. Her health had to come first, but it was hard to ignore the fear that gnawed at her every time she thought about her life before the accident. I can't help but wonder if everything I did before was worth it, Veronica murmured, more to herself than to Anna. I pushed everyone away to build my empire. My family, my friends. I thought I was doing the right thing, but now I don't even know who I am anymore. Anna could feel the raw honesty in Veronica's words, the deep-seated guilt and regret that had taken root in her soul. She understood the struggle. She had seen it before, in her own life, when she had questioned her worth and her place in the world. You were doing what you thought was right, Anna said softly, her voice full of compassion. But that doesn't mean you've lost who you are. The person you were before the accident is still there. She's just waiting to come back. It's going to take time, but you'll find her again. Veronica looked at Anna, her expression softening for the first time in days. You really believe that, don't you? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Anna smiled gently, her heart swelling with hope. I do. You have everything inside you to rebuild, to find your way back to the person you want to be. And I'll be here, every step of the way, to help you. The days that followed were filled with small victories. Veronica began walking around the room with the help of a physical therapist, building up strength in her legs after weeks of being bedridden. She started eating more, though her appetite was still weak, and she engaged in light conversations with Anna, asking about her life and what she had been through. Slowly, the walls Veronica had built around herself began to crumble, piece by piece, until she could see a glimmer of hope, a flicker of the life she thought she had lost forever. One afternoon, as Anna sat beside her, reading through her medical notes, Veronica turned to her, her face serious but determined. Anna, she said, her voice steady. I think I'm ready to start thinking about my future again. Not the one I had, but the one I want now. Anna looked up, meeting her gaze, her heart lifting with pride. That's a huge step, Veronica. I'm so proud of you. Veronica smiled, but there was something new in her expression, a sense of purpose, of clarity. She had started to see a future that wasn't tied to her past, a future where she could rebuild and reconnect with the people who mattered most. I don't know exactly what that future looks like yet, Veronica continued, her voice more confident now. But I know I don't want to live in the past anymore. I want to start fresh. I want to give back, to do something meaningful with the time I have left. And I want to make up for the things I lost, the relationships I neglected. I want to be someone who truly lives, not just someone who works. Anna's heart swelled with emotion. She had seen Veronica struggle, seen her doubt herself and her worth. But now, for the first time, Veronica was speaking with conviction, with hope. "You will, Veronica," Anna said, her voice thick with emotion. "You have everything inside you to make that happen. And I'll be right here to help you every step of the way." Veronica smiled, her eyes shining with a new light. She didn't have all the answers, but for the first time in a long time, she was ready to face the future with an open heart. She wasn't alone anymore. She had Anna, and she had herself, a woman who was learning to live again. Veronica sat by the window, gazing out at the city skyline. The lights of the city stretched before her, twinkling like stars against the night sky, but it was the silence that filled the room that she felt most acutely. It had been weeks since she woke up from the coma, weeks since she started to piece together her life again, but she still felt like a stranger to herself. The old Veronica, the one who built an empire from the ground up, was a memory she couldn't quite grasp, and in her place, there was this new woman, unsure, searching for meaning, trying to navigate the unfamiliar territory of recovery and reinvention. "I've been thinking a lot lately," Veronica said softly, breaking the silence. Anna, who had been sitting at the bedside, looking over some medical notes, glanced up and gave her an encouraging smile. "About what?" she asked gently, her voice warm and patient. "About what I want to do next," Veronica replied, her eyes still fixed on the horizon. "I've spent so much time building something that I thought would give me everything. But now, it feels like I've lost everything. I don't want to make the same mistake again. I want to do something that matters, something that really changes people's lives, not just my own." Anna's heart swelled with pride at Veronica's words. She could hear the sincerity in her voice, the weight of realization that had finally settled in. Veronica was no longer just concerned with wealth and status. She wanted to make an impact, to give back in a way that truly mattered. "That's a big decision," Anna said thoughtfully. "But it sounds like you've already made up your mind. And whatever you choose to do, I believe in you." Veronica turned to face Anna, her eyes searching hers, as if looking for reassurance. "But I don't know where to start. I've been so focused on the wrong things for so long. Now I feel like I'm starting from scratch, and it's overwhelming." Anna leaned forward, offering a gentle smile. Starting from scratch isn't always a bad thing. Sometimes, it's the best place to begin. It gives you the freedom to choose what you truly want, without being tied to the past. Veronica nodded slowly, the tension in her shoulders easing just a little. "You're right. It's just hard to let go of everything I worked for, everything I thought defined me." Anna reached over and placed a hand on Veronica's. "It's okay to feel that way. You don't have to let go of everything. What matters is that you're choosing to move forward, to live a life that reflects who you are now, not who you were. And that's a beautiful thing." Veronica smiled softly, her heart lightening with the comforting presence of Anna. For the first time in a long while, she felt a sense of hope, a glimmer of excitement for the future. She didn't know exactly what that future looked like yet, but she was beginning to see a path forward, a path that was filled with possibility, not just obligation. The next few days were filled with small steps, each one bringing Veronica closer to the woman she wanted to become. She started meeting with some of the people she had once worked with, discussing new ideas, new projects, ways to give back to the community she had once been so removed from. But even more than that, she began reconnecting with herself, learning what truly made her happy outside of her career and wealth. She spent time with family, rebuilding relationships that had been strained by years of neglect. She found joy in the simple things, a walk in the park, a quiet dinner with her loved ones, moments of peace that she had never made time for before. Anna continued to be by her side, offering support and guidance as Veronica navigated this new chapter of her life. The bond between them grew stronger with each passing day, and though Anna had started as Veronica's caretaker, she had become so much more, a friend, a confidant, a source of strength. One evening, as they sat together in Veronica's private lounge, Veronica looked at Anna with a sense of gratitude that went beyond words. "I don't think I ever truly thanked you," she said softly, "for everything you've done for me, for being here when I needed someone most." Anna smiled, her heart full. "You don't need to thank me, Veronica. It's been my privilege to help you, and to see you finding your way again. That's the greatest reward I could ask for." Veronica looked down, a slight blush coloring her cheeks. "I don't know what I would have done without you," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "You've been my anchor." Anna's smile grew. "And you've been mine." The words hung in the air between them, a quiet affirmation of the journey they had shared together. Veronica was beginning to understand that her true worth wasn't defined by her success or her wealth, but by her ability to love, to give, and to find meaning in the connections she had made. She still had a long way to go, but she no longer felt lost. She was on the path to something greater, something that would bring her more fulfillment than any business deal or promotion ever could. And with Anna by her side, she knew she would never have to walk that path alone. Veronica stood by the window, watching the rain fall softly against the glass. It had been a few months since she had woken up from the coma, and in that time, her life had begun to take on a new meaning. She had worked hard to rebuild her relationships, her health, and most importantly, her sense of self. What she once thought defined her, her wealth, her empire, had faded into the background, replaced by something more valuable, her own happiness and connection with others. As the days passed, Veronica found herself more and more at peace with the life she was creating, and yet, there was still a lingering question in her mind. Could she truly let go of everything she had once been, or would the past always haunt her? She wasn't sure, but she was determined to find out. Anna, as always, had been there through it all, offering support, guidance, and a steady presence that Veronica had come to rely on. One evening, as they sat together, Anna looked at her with a knowing smile. "You've come so far," she said softly. "I can see the change in you. The person you were before is still there, but you've become so much more." Veronica smiled, though there was a hint of uncertainty in her eyes. "I don't know if I'll ever fully leave behind the person I used to be. Sometimes, it feels like that version of me is still here, lurking in the background, waiting for the chance to take over again." Anna reached across the table, her hand resting gently on Veronica's. "That's okay. You don't have to forget her, but you don't have to let her define you either. The past is a part of you, but it doesn't have to control your future." Veronica nodded, though she still wasn't sure if she could completely embrace that idea. She had spent so many years building her empire, striving for success, that it was hard to imagine a life without those things at the forefront. Still, something inside her had shifted, and it wasn't the same drive for power and wealth that had once consumed her. Now, she longed for something deeper, something more meaningful. She had started volunteering at local charities, using her skills and resources to help those who were struggling, and it brought her a sense of fulfillment that her old life had never offered. It was a small step, but it was a step in the right direction. She found joy in the simple things now, laughing with the people she loved, spending quiet evenings with Anna, and appreciating the small moments that she had once overlooked. And though her company still existed, still required attention, Veronica knew that it was no longer the center of her world. Her family, her friends, and the connections she had built along the way, those were the things that mattered now. One day, as Veronica sat in her office, a stack of papers before her, she felt a pang of longing. It was a familiar feeling, the urge to jump back into the fast-paced, high-stakes world she had once dominated. But then she remembered what Anna had said. The past doesn't have to control your future. Veronica took a deep breath and set the papers aside. She wasn't ready to walk away from everything entirely, but she wasn't going to let the need for success consume her either. She could choose a different path, a path that allowed her to balance both her business and her new priorities. As she looked out the window, her thoughts turned to Anna. She had been her rock, her unwavering support through it all. Veronica realized that, in many ways, Anna had shown her what it meant to truly live, to embrace life fully, without fear, without regret. And Veronica knew that, no matter where her journey took her, Anna would always be by her side. "You've helped me more than you know," Veronica said quietly to herself. "I don't think I could have made it through without you." Anna, who had been standing in the doorway, heard her words and smiled warmly. "You've done the hard work, Veronica. I've just been here to remind you of your strength." Veronica turned to face her, a deep sense of gratitude filling her heart. "Thank you, Anna," she said, her voice full of emotion. "For everything." Anna's smile grew wider as she walked over to Veronica, placing a gentle hand on her shoulder. "You don't need to thank me. I'm just glad to see you finding your way." You've come a long way, and I'm so proud of you. Veronica smiled back, the warmth in her chest spreading to her face. For the first time in a long time, she felt like she was exactly where she needed to be. She wasn't the same person she had been before the accident, but that didn't mean she was lost. She was stronger now, more compassionate, and more aware of what truly mattered in life. The journey wasn't over, but she knew that she had the strength to face whatever came next. And with Anna by her side, she felt ready to take on whatever the future held. As the weeks passed, Veronica continued to find her footing in this new chapter of her life. She had moments of doubt, of course, when the weight of everything she had lost threatened to pull her back into the world she was trying to leave behind. But there was something different now, something she hadn't expected, the quiet peace that came with slowing down, with taking the time to truly listen to herself and the people around her. She was no longer living in the rush of endless meetings, deals, and deadlines. Instead, she was learning to embrace the quieter, more meaningful moments that had once seemed so insignificant. One afternoon, as Veronica sat in a local cafe with Anna, the conversation shifted to something that had been on her mind for a while. "I've been thinking a lot about the future," Veronica said, her voice thoughtful. "Not just about my company or my career, but about the life I want to build for myself. It's strange, you know? I've spent so much time focused on my business, and now I'm realizing that I haven't really thought about what I want." Anna smiled gently, her eyes warm with understanding. "It's not strange at all. You're just starting to rediscover yourself, and that's a beautiful thing. What is it that you want, Veronica?" Veronica paused for a moment, her fingers tracing the rim of her coffee cup as she thought. I think I want to help people, not just through my company, but on a more personal level. I've seen how important it is to connect with others, to give back, and I want to do more of that. I want to make a real difference, not just a financial one." Anna's heart swelled with pride as she listened to Veronica. This was the woman she had known was always inside, the one who cared deeply, who wanted to leave a positive impact on the world. "You're already making a difference, Veronica," Anna said softly, "in everything you've done, in how you've changed and grown. And now, you have the power to do so much more. You're choosing to live a life that's about more than just success. That's a powerful thing." Veronica looked down at her hands, her mind swirling with the possibilities. "I just don't know where to start. It feels overwhelming sometimes, like there's so much I could do, but I don't know how to make the first step." Anna leaned forward, her eyes kind but firm. "Start small. Find one thing that speaks to you, something that matters to you. It doesn't have to be a grand gesture. What's important is that you begin. The rest will follow." Veronica nodded slowly, taking in Anna's words. She knew she had the ability to make a difference. She had always known that. But now, it was about finding the right way to channel that power, to use her resources for something truly meaningful. As they continued to talk, Veronica felt the weight of her past life begin to lift. The chains that had bound her to the high-pressure world of business were slowly dissolving, and she was beginning to feel lighter, freer, more open to the possibilities that awaited her. The more she thought about it, the more she realized that she didn't need to abandon her past completely. She could still use her business acumen, her leadership skills, and her resources to create positive change. It was all about balance, finding a way to integrate her passions with her work in a way that felt authentic and fulfilling. In the days that followed, Veronica began to take concrete steps toward this new path. She reached out to organizations focused on social justice, education, and environmental sustainability, wanting to learn how she could contribute. She began volunteering more, attending community meetings, and speaking with people who were already doing the work she hoped to get involved in. One evening, as she stood at the front of a community meeting, listening to local leaders discuss ways to help at-risk youth, Veronica felt a sense of purpose she hadn't felt in years. This was where she was meant to be, not in the boardrooms of her past, but in spaces where her heart could connect with others, where her actions could truly make a difference. Later that night, as she sat in her apartment, reflecting on the evening, Veronica felt a deep sense of peace. She was still on her journey, still figuring things out, but for the first time, she didn't feel lost. She knew she was headed in the right direction. Anna called her that evening, just as Veronica was about to head to bed. "How was the meeting?" Anna asked, her voice filled with curiosity. Veronica smiled softly, her heart full of gratitude. It was everything I needed it to be, she said quietly. I'm ready. I'm ready to make this my life's work, to help people in ways that matter. I'm not sure exactly where it will take me, but I know I'm on the right path. Anna's voice was filled with warmth. I'm so proud of you, Veronica. You're doing exactly what you're meant to do. And I'll be here, every step of the way. Veronica felt the weight of Anna's words settle in her chest, a reminder that she wasn't alone in this journey. She had support, she had purpose, and most of all, she had the strength to keep moving forward. With a deep breath, she smiled to herself, knowing that this was just the beginning of something beautiful. Veronica woke up to the sound of her phone buzzing on the nightstand. She rubbed her eyes and glanced at the screen, seeing a message from Anna. Big day today. Are you ready? A small smile crept onto her face as she read the words, knowing that Anna was always there, cheering her on, encouraging her every step of the way. Today was the day she had decided to present her new project, an initiative focused on helping underprivileged youth gain access to education and mentorship programs. It was something she had been working on quietly for the past few weeks, but today, she would finally present it to a group of potential donors and partners. As she got ready, she felt a mix of excitement and nervousness. This wasn't the world she was used to. There were no high-stakes business meetings, no negotiations over million-dollar deals. This was different. This was about making a real impact, a difference in the lives of those who needed it the most. Veronica had never felt so nervous about a presentation before, but there was something deeply personal about this one. This project wasn't just about charity. It was about purpose. It was about giving back, about showing the world that there was more to her than just the corporate empire she had built. After she finished getting dressed, Veronica took a deep breath, standing in front of the mirror. She looked at herself, the woman she had become, the one who was no longer afraid to show vulnerability, to acknowledge the importance of love, connection, and community. You've got this, she whispered to herself, feeling a sense of calm settle over her. She was ready. When she arrived at the venue, a community center in the heart of the city, the energy in the room was palpable. People were gathered, talking and laughing, but there was also a sense of seriousness. This wasn't just another event. It was an opportunity to make a difference. Veronica looked around, feeling the weight of what she was about to do, but at the same time, she couldn't help but feel a sense of excitement. This was her chance to share her vision, to show everyone the woman she had become. As she walked up to the front of the room, the crowd fell silent, all eyes on her. She adjusted the microphone and smiled, feeling the nerves kick in again. But this time, it was different. This time, she wasn't trying to impress anyone. She wasn't here to sell a product or secure a deal. She was here to connect, to share her heart, and to inspire others to join her in making a difference. Thank you all for being here today, Veronica began, her voice steady but filled with emotion. I stand before you today, not as the woman I once was, but as someone who has learned to see the world differently. Over the years, I focused so much on building a business, on creating wealth, but somewhere along the way, I lost sight of what truly matters. What truly matters is the impact we have on others, the difference we make in the lives of those who need it most. She paused, her gaze sweeping over the audience. And that's why I'm here today, to talk about a new initiative, one that is close to my heart. It's about helping young people, especially those from underprivileged backgrounds, gain access to the resources and opportunities that can change their lives. Education, mentorship, support. These are the things that can help break the cycle of poverty and give children the chance they deserve. Veronica's voice wavered slightly as she spoke, the emotion of the moment catching her by surprise. But instead of pulling back, she embraced it, allowing herself to feel the vulnerability that had once been so foreign to her. I know I can't do this alone, she continued, but I believe that together, we can create a movement that empowers the next generation to dream big, to achieve more, and to know that they are worthy of success, no matter where they come from. The room was silent for a moment, and then there was a soft murmur of agreement. Veronica could see the impact of her words, the way they resonated with the people in the room. For the first time in a long time, she felt truly connected to her audience. She wasn't just speaking to sell an idea or to make herself look good. She was speaking from her heart, and it was being received with the same openness. After the presentation, several people approached her, eager to learn more and to get involved. There were offers of partnerships, donations, and advice. Veronica couldn't believe how quickly everything was falling into place. But more than that, she felt a deep sense of fulfillment, knowing that this project was already making a difference, even before it had fully launched. Later that evening, as Veronica sat at home, reflecting on the day, she couldn't help but feel proud of herself. She had taken a risk, stepped out of her comfort zone, and shared her passion with the world. She had allowed herself to be vulnerable, to admit that her success was no longer just about business. It was about making a lasting impact. And in doing so, she had found a new sense of purpose. As she looked around her apartment, she realized that her journey was far from over. This was just the beginning. She wasn't the same person she had been before, and she was no longer afraid of what the future might hold. She was ready for whatever came next, and she knew that no matter where her journey took her, she would never be alone. Anna had been there through it all, and together, they would continue to make a difference in the world. The following weeks were a whirlwind for Veronica. Her new initiative began to take shape faster than she had expected, and soon, it was no longer just an idea, it was a reality. The community support had been overwhelming, and she found herself attending meetings, making phone calls, and working on the logistics of the project with a dedicated team of volunteers. But amidst all of this progress, Veronica found herself struggling with something she hadn't anticipated: doubt. The pressure to succeed, to ensure the initiative thrived, weighed heavily on her shoulders. Despite the support she had, there were moments when she wondered if she was doing enough. What if it's not enough? Veronica asked, her voice filled with uncertainty. Anna, who had been with her every step of the way, sat beside her one evening after a long day of meetings. What if we don't reach our goals? What if this doesn't make the impact I've always dreamed of? Anna listened quietly, her eyes understanding. She had seen Veronica push herself to the limit, pouring her heart and soul into this project, just as she had with everything else in her life. "You're already doing something incredible," Anna said softly, her voice full of reassurance. "You've already changed lives, Veronica. The fact that you're here, putting your heart into this, is proof enough that you're making a difference. It's not about perfection, it's about progress." Veronica looked down at her hands, the weight of her own expectations pressing down on her chest. "I guess I just keep thinking about everything I've lost," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "I spent so many years focusing on the wrong things. I lost my family, my friends, my sense of who I was, all in the name of success. And now that I'm trying to make up for that, I can't help but wonder if I'll ever truly find redemption." Anna placed her hand gently on Veronica's. "You don't need to find redemption, Veronica. You've already found it. Every day you spend working on this project, you're showing that you're not defined by your past, but by the actions you take today. It's not about erasing what happened before. It's about creating something meaningful now, something that will last." Veronica met Anna's gaze, feeling the warmth of her words sink in. She had spent so long trying to fix everything, trying to right every wrong, but Anna was right. Redemption wasn't something that could be earned through perfection. It came through the simple act of moving forward, of doing the best you could, and of making a positive impact in the world. As the weeks went on, Veronica's doubts began to fade. The project was growing, the community was rallying behind it, and the kids she had met through the mentorship programs were showing incredible progress. She had received letters and emails from parents, teachers, and even some of the children themselves, thanking her for the opportunity she had provided. They spoke of their dreams that now felt more attainable because of the support Veronica had given them. It was a humbling experience, one that made her realize the true power of what she was doing. One afternoon, Veronica received an invitation to speak at a local event. It wasn't a business conference or a gala for high-powered executives. This was an event for the families and students involved in the program, a celebration of everything they had accomplished together. As she stood at the front of the room, looking out at the faces of the children she had helped, Veronica felt an overwhelming sense of pride. These were the faces of the future, of hope, and she had played a part in helping them get there. The applause that followed her speech was sincere, filled with gratitude and respect, and for the first time in a long time, Veronica felt like she was exactly where she was meant to be. After the event, as Veronica walked with Anna back to the car, she couldn't help but smile. I never imagined that this would be where I'd end up, Veronica said, her voice soft with wonder. I thought I would always be chasing success, always trying to prove myself. But this feels different. This feels like the real success. Anna smiled, her eyes shining with pride. You found your true purpose, Veronica, and the world is better for it. Veronica paused for a moment, letting the words sink in. She had spent so many years looking for fulfillment in all the wrong places, but now, she knew, true fulfillment didn't come from building an empire. It came from helping others, from giving back, and from living a life that mattered. As they drove home, Veronica looked out the window, her heart at peace. She was no longer the woman who defined herself by her wealth or her business. She was a woman who had found her purpose, and in doing so, had found herself. And as she looked ahead, she knew that this was just the beginning. There was so much more she could do, so much more she wanted to give. And she would continue on this path, with Anna by her side, knowing that the future was full of limitless possibilities. As Veronica continued to work on her initiative, her life began to take on a rhythm that felt more fulfilling than anything she had ever experienced. The days were no longer defined by deadlines, meetings, or the constant pressure to succeed. Instead, she found herself waking up each morning with a sense of purpose, knowing that her work was helping to change the lives of others. She was not just building a business anymore. She was building a future for those who needed it most. The children she mentored, the families she reached out to, and the communities she helped all became a part of the fabric of her new life. She had come so far from the woman who had once only cared about her empire. Now, she was driven by something greater, the desire to create lasting change. One afternoon, as Veronica sat in her office, going through a stack of paperwork, she paused for a moment, looking out the window. The sun was setting, casting a warm golden light over the city. For the first time in a long time, she felt at peace. There were no lingering thoughts of what could have been, no regrets about her past life. All that mattered was the work she was doing now, the people she was helping, and the difference she was making. Anna knocked lightly on the door, interrupting her thoughts. "How's it going?" she asked with a warm smile. Veronica looked up and returned the smile, her heart swelling with gratitude. "It's going well," she said. "I'm just realizing how much I've grown. Not just in the work we're doing, but in who I am as a person. I feel like I've finally found my place." Anna sat down across from her, her eyes filled with pride. "I've watched you grow, Veronica. I've seen you struggle, doubt yourself, and wonder if you were on the right path. But now, I can see the woman you've become. The woman who is not just strong, but compassionate, and willing to do whatever it takes to make a difference. It's been amazing to watch." Veronica's eyes glistened with emotion. "I couldn't have done it without you," she said, her voice thick with gratitude. "You've been there for me every step of the way, and I don't think I could have made it this far without your support. You've shown me what true strength really is." Anna smiled softly, her eyes filled with warmth. "You've always had that strength inside you, Veronica. I just helped you find it. And now, you're doing incredible things. You've built something that's going to last, something that will continue to help people long after we're gone." Veronica nodded, feeling a sense of peace settle over her. She had found her purpose, and in doing so, had found herself. It wasn't about wealth or success anymore. It was about the lives she had touched, the people she had helped, and the change she had sparked in the world. The road had been long, and at times, it had felt impossible. But looking back, she realized that every step had been worth it. "I've learned so much along the way," Veronica said softly. "Not just about the work we're doing, but about life, about what really matters. I used to think that success was about building an empire, but now I know it's about building relationships, making a real impact, and leaving something behind that can change the world." Anna reached across the desk and squeezed Veronica's hand, her smile filled with pride. "You're doing that, Veronica. Every single day." Veronica smiled back, feeling a sense of peace settle in her heart. She knew that her journey wasn't over, that there was still so much work to be done, so many people to help, and so many lives to change. But for the first time in a long time, she felt ready for whatever came next. She wasn't the woman she had once been, and she had no intention of ever going back to that version of herself. She had found something far more valuable, her true purpose. And as she looked out the window, watching the sun dip below the horizon, she knew that this was just the beginning. The road ahead would be long, but it was a road she was ready to walk, one step at a time. And with Anna by her side, she knew she would never have to walk it alone.